Today we're gonna talk about the upcoming next rotating recruitment banner, aka RRR. In this video series, we are going to give the currently in use rotating recruitment banner a closer look, and quickly analyze and rate the characters on RateUp, as well as finishing it up by evaluating the banner as a whole, to determine if it's worth rolling on it or not. Here's a quick reminder of my rating tiers: Underwhelming, Average, Solid, Strong, and last but not least, Core. For some quick explanations about these tiers, please refer to this timestamp on my first rotating recruitment review, or just look into the description. This banner runs from the 12th till the 19th of October, which is as usual only 1 week long, making carefully planning ahead on how you spend your yellow flares a very smart and important move. On RateUp are this time around the 5 stars Areia and Schwartz, and the 6-star Aurorian Charon. Now that the general information is out of the way, let's start by first going through the 5-star characters, which in this week are 1 detonator and 1 sniper. First off, Areia is a forest element detonator, and not only that, she's actually one of the strongest ones in the game. Why? Well, just lean back and I will explain. Her active skill lets Areia control her mighty magic sword, which increases her attack by 20% for the rest of the round, but also decreases it and her defense in the next round by 50%. She's immune to attack and def decreasing effects while Areia wields this sword. This attack buff is pretty big and complements her already decently high attack stat fairly well. But her demerit is quite huge, and already makes it quite obvious that she's more of a burst-oriented DPS. However, all of this still doesn't justify calling her one of the best detonators. To find out why she's so good, we still need to take a look at her equipment. But before that, let's quickly talk about her chain combo. Her chain is pretty much the standard detonator one, with a 2 starting chain that covers 1 surrounding cluster and a last chain that hits 2 of them. This just solidifies Areia as a great detonator. But now let's get to the meat of this. Areia's equipment gives her the ability to penetrate through enemies, dealing up to 100% damage to the tile behind her target, while she controls her all-powerful magic sword. Now it all makes sense. Areia can decimate multi-tile enemies, as she basically does double damage with every hit against them, which can stack up quite to a huge number really quickly. Before finishing this up, let's give her breakthroughs a quick look. Her BT2 gives Areia Preemptive Strike, unlocking her most powerful state right from the start. Although the skill doesn't have that high of a cooldown, this BT is actually quite huge and almost necessary. Similar to BT2 of double chain supports, you really want to normally burst directly on turn 1, which obviously is only possible by having Preemptive Strike, making this BT a very important priority and very worth it. At max breakthrough, she gains a small increase in her active skill, bumping up the number from 20 to 25%, which basically just gives her even more damage potential. While this is nice, it's by far not necessary, and is just min-maxing for players that can afford it, making this pretty much a nice to have but not must have. Overall, Areia is basically a character that focuses on giving you a huge amount of damage in a short span, making her truly shine in short fights and burst strategies. All of this makes her not only the most powerful go-to burst DPS for the forest element, but also one of the strongest 5-star DPS characters in general, giving her a deserved spot in the core tier. Let's move on to the second 5-star on this banner. Schwartz is a thunder element sniper, and when I say sniper, I don't really mean it, because the governor of Lumopolis is probably one of the most uncharacteristic snipers you will ever encounter in Alchemy Stars, as his chain combo reminds me more of a detonator like Sinza, and not at all a sniper like Vice. The active skill of Carlene's dad deals 300% damage plus 10% of their current HP to all enemies. The damage he deals with this increases Odin's defense by up to 5%, This is similarly to Michael a really good HP based damaging skill, meaning that regardless of your and the enemy's level, you are still going to get a significant amount of damage out of this. Besides that, the death buff is a nice little bonus. That of the month's equipment increases his defense by up to 6% depending on equip level for every Thunder or Lumopolis Aurorian in your team, and also your attack by an equal amount of the death you gained. This means that Colleen's dead mother's husband is quite a good tank and DPS alike, making him somewhat of an all-rounder. But before giving my rating, let's gaze upon his breakthroughs. Grumpy Eye Patch Santa's BT2 gives his active skill the ability to execute non-boss enemies below 10% HP. This is just a nice to have, as this doesn't really affect his performance all that much. His max breakthrough, however, is the real treasure in this chest, as it gives his active skill Preemptive Strike, letting you deal a significant amount of damage to all enemies and gain a nice juicy death and attack buff right from the get-go. While this is definitely really good, I would only suggest going for this if you're already somewhat close, as getting a bunch of dupes for a specific 5-star can be quite a pain. All in all, Blackie is a pseudo-detonator that offers consistent damage every couple rounds, some much needed defense for hard content, and a nice attack buff, making him a well-rounded DPS package that deservedly gets a spot in the strong tier. Last but not least, let's talk about Charon is a fire element detonator, and not only any fire detonator. He's in fact one of the best. Train drivers. Let's get right into this. His active skill summons his trusty Train that deals 300% damage to 3 selected columns or rows and knockbacks enemies. The damage dealt to the middle tiles of his train take 1.5 times the damage. And that wasn't all. This skill also resets all non-red tiles within the area you hit. Damn, this was quite a lot. So let's break it down. Not only does this reset tiles, which is actually quite useful now with the new locked mechanic, but also either pushes or pulls enemies based on the direction the train crashes into, and deals a significant amount of damage to them. This is probably one of the most overloaded and cool looking skills I've seen so far in this game. Can this man even get any better? Let's find out by checking out his equip. Charon's equipment gives him the ability to deal diagonal attacks, but that isn't all. It also adds death ignoring damage equal to up to 10% of his attack to his attacks. His pretty much standard detonator chain, plus all of this, just lets him deal crazy damage, despite the fact that Charon's attack stat is not that high, letting him currently still reign supreme as the highest DPS fire detonator in Alchemy Stars. I have to once again say, can this man get any better? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's look at his breakthroughs. Charon's breakthroughs are basically the standard reset ones, meaning Preemptive Strike on BT3 and a higher chance to generate red tiles on max breakthrough. BT3 can be especially nice to run over some more annoying Caracolites and co, but is so far not really needed, unless the locked mechanic really starts to be a huge problem in the future. His max breakthrough is like for all resetters a crazy good power spike, as it allows him to somewhat reliable get at least some red tiles on the field, which is definitely pretty huge and worth getting if you're already close to it. But in general, Charon is already pretty much a full train right from the get-go, which means you really don't need to get any of these for now. Overall, Charon is pretty much one of the most powerful fire DPS characters, alongside someone like Sinza, as he's a reset converter, pusher or puller, and a damage dealer in one, giving him a guaranteed spot in the core tier. In conclusion, this banner is stacked with some of the craziest DPS characters in the game, as Charon is one of the best fire detonators to date and one of the big highlights of the banner, while Areia is another highlight because she's one of the craziest and best burst DPS aurorians that has a really important BT2, and Blackbeard is a really nice HP based damage dealer that offers both defense and attack buffs. So, now let us answer the main question regarding this banner. Should you roll? as Charon is one of the best, if not the best fire character in the game, besides Converters of course, Areia being a crazy good 5-star for his DPS, and the Nick Fury of Lumopolis also being pretty good. The final verdict is... roll. This banner is too stacked to miss out. And at least roll for the guaranteed 5-star, even if you already have all of these characters. As current BT3 can be quite nice, Areia's BT2 is huge, and White Hair Eye Patch Man's breakthroughs are also not too shabby. Are you going to roll on this banner? If yes, I would love to hear why. If you disagree with anything or just have something to share, just comment down below, and as always, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. That was all from me, have a nice day, and see you next time.